Welcome back to VeriHealthHub, where verified health information meets empowerment. I'm so glad you're here today. Whether you're a longtime subscriber or joining us for the first time, our mission is simple: provide you with evidence-based health information you can trust. Information that helps you partner effectively with your healthcare team. Today, we're tackling a topic that's generated a lot of controversy and confusion. You've probably seen headlines claiming that milk weakens your bones or that dairy products are actually harmful for bone health. With so much conflicting information out there, it's difficult to know what to believe. That's precisely why we're diving into this topic today. We're going to explore what the science actually says about milk and bone health. We'll look at peer-reviewed research, examine the mechanisms in your body, and separate fact from fiction. Most importantly, we'll give you practical, evidence-based information you can use in conversations with your doctor. Here's what we'll cover in today's video. First, we'll establish the context by understanding how bone health works and what calcium really does in your body. Then, we'll examine the research on milk consumption and bone health, looking at what large-scale studies actually show. We'll explore the practical factors that truly influence bone strength as we age. And finally, we'll discuss specific questions you can bring to your next medical appointment. This isn't about creating fear or telling you to avoid certain foods. This is about understanding the evidence so you can make informed choices that work for your unique health situation. The goal is always partnership with your healthcare provider, not replacement of professional guidance. So, let's get started with what the science really tells us about milk and bone health. Let's start with the basics. Understanding bone health requires us to look at how your skeleton actually works. Your bones aren't static structures. They're living tissue that constantly breaks down and rebuilds throughout your entire life. This process is called bone remodeling. Think of your bones like a building under constant renovation. Old bone material is removed by cells called osteoclasts, while new bone is deposited by cells called osteoblasts. When you're young, your body builds more bone than it breaks down. You reach peak bone mass usually in your late 20s or early 30s. After that, the balance gradually shifts, and most people begin losing small amounts of bone mass each year. This decline is completely normal as we age. However, when bone loss happens too quickly, or bone formation slows down too much, you can develop osteopenia, which is lower than normal bone density, or osteoporosis, which is more severe bone loss that increases fracture risk. Now, let's talk about calcium's role. Calcium is the primary mineral that gives bones their hardness and strength. About 99% of the calcium in your body is stored in your bones and teeth. Your body also needs calcium for other vital functions, like muscle contractions, nerve signals, and blood clotting. If you don't get enough calcium from food, your body takes it from your bones to maintain these critical functions. This is where milk enters the conversation. Dairy products like milk, yogurt, and cheese are rich sources of calcium. 1 cup of milk contains about 300 milligrams of calcium. For adults over 50, the recommended daily calcium intake is 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams. So the traditional thinking has been straightforward. Bones need calcium. Milk provides calcium. Therefore, milk should strengthen bones. This logic seems sound, and for decades, healthcare organizations have recommended consuming milk specifically for bone health. But here's where it gets more complex. Some researchers have questioned whether the relationship between milk consumption and bone strength is really that simple. They've pointed to countries with high dairy consumption that also have high rates of hip fractures. They've asked whether other factors matter more than calcium intake alone. What's normal as we age? Some bone density loss is expected. Women experience accelerated bone loss during and after menopause due to declining estrogen levels. Men also lose bone density, but usually at a slower rate. The key is distinguishing between normal age-related changes and concerning bone loss that increases your fracture risk. You should discuss bone health with your doctor if you've experienced a fracture from a minor fall, if you've lost height over time, if you have a family history of osteoporosis, or if you're taking medications that can affect bone density, like corticosteroids. These are signs that warrant a bone density scan and personalized medical advice. Understanding this foundation helps us evaluate the claims about milk and bone health more critically. It's not just about one nutrient or one food. Bone health involves multiple factors working together. Now let's examine what the research actually shows. This part is where we separate sensational headlines from scientific reality. The claim that milk weakens bones primarily comes from observational studies that found an association between higher dairy consumption in certain countries and higher fracture rates. The most frequently cited research comes from studies in Scandinavian countries, particularly Sweden, where dairy consumption is very high, but so are hip fracture rates. A 2014 study published in the British Medical Journal examined over 100,000 Swedish adults who were followed for an average of 20 years. The researchers found no correlation between a higher milk consumption and a lower fracture risk. In fact, women who drank 3 or more glasses of milk daily had a slightly higher fracture risk compared to those drinking less than 1 glass daily. However, the fact is crucial. The experiment was an observational study. It shows correlation, not causation. The researchers themselves emphasize that the findings don't prove that milk causes fractures. There could be many confounding factors. People who drink more milk might have different overall dietary patterns, activity levels, or health conditions. Let's look at the broader picture. A 2015 meta-analysis published in Osteoporosis International reviewed 18 randomized controlled trials involving nearly 7,000 participants. This analysis found that increasing calcium intake from dietary sources or supplements produced small increases in bone mineral density, particularly in the first year of supplementation. The American Academy of Pediatrics, the National Osteoporosis Foundation, and the National Institutes of Health continue to recommend adequate calcium intake for bone health. Their review of several studies found that getting the right amount of calcium throughout life helps build up peak bone mass and may slow down bone loss that happens with age. Research from Harvard Medical School examined data from the Nurses' Health Study, which followed over 72,000 women for 18 years. They found that higher milk consumption during teenage years was not associated with lower fracture risk in adulthood. However, the finding doesn't mean milk is harmful. It suggests that other factors beyond teenage milk consumption influence adult bone health. A 2018 study in the Journal of Bone and Mineral Research looked specifically at older adults. Among adults over 65, those with higher dairy calcium intake had modestly higher bone mineral density. The effect was small but statistically significant. So, what's happening here? Could you please explain why some studies demonstrate benefits while others do not? Let's explore the mechanisms and learn about their complexities. Vitamin D levels influence calcium absorption. Without adequate vitamin D, your body cannot absorb calcium efficiently, regardless of intake. This effect is particularly relevant for older adults who often have lower vitamin D levels due to less sun exposure and age-related changes in skin vitamin D production. Protein in milk also matters. Dairy products provide high-quality protein, which is important for maintaining muscle mass and bone structure. Some researchers suggest that the protein in milk may be as important as the calcium for bone health. However, milk also contains animal protein, and some theories suggest that high animal protein intake increases calcium excretion through urine. Such findings led to the hypothesis that high dairy consumption might paradoxically lead to calcium loss, but recent research has challenged this idea. A 2017 review in Advances in Nutrition found that dietary protein, including animal protein, is actually beneficial for bone health when calcium intake is adequate. Phosphorus also influences the relationship between milk consumption and bone health. Phosphorus, present in milk, collaborates with calcium to facilitate bone formation. The balance between calcium and phosphorus matters more than either nutrient alone. Lactose in milk may enhance calcium absorption in some individuals. Lactose can increase intestinal permeability to calcium, potentially improving how much calcium your body actually uses in the milk you drink. The overall dietary pattern matters enormously. Studies from the Mediterranean region show that people who consume moderate amounts of dairy as part of a diet rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and fish have strong bones despite not consuming as much dairy as Northern European populations. What we're learning from cumulative research is that bone health isn't about one single food or nutrient. The National Osteoporosis Foundation explains that bone health depends on multiple factors: adequate calcium and vitamin D, regular weight-bearing exercise, maintaining healthy body weight, avoiding smoking, and limiting alcohol consumption. According to a comprehensive 2020 review in Nutrients, dairy consumption can contribute to meeting calcium needs. But it's not the only way, or necessarily the superior way. When eaten as part of a balanced diet, plant-based calcium sources like leafy greens, fortified plant milks, and calcium-fortified tofu can also help keep bones healthy. The evidence quality varies. We have strong evidence that adequate calcium intake throughout life supports bone health. We have moderate evidence that dairy products can help meet calcium needs. We possess less robust evidence regarding whether dairy consumption specifically diminishes fracture risk more effectively than alternative calcium sources. We lack evidence indicating that milk compromises bone integrity in healthy individuals who include it in a balanced diet. The Swedish study that generated alarming headlines showed correlation in one specific population but hasn't been replicated consistently in other populations. Expert perspectives from major medical organizations remain consistent. The American College of Rheumatology, in their 2017 Guidelines for Osteoporosis Prevention and Treatment, recommends obtaining 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams of calcium daily from diet or supplements. They list dairy products as one effective source, but not the only one. The Mayo Clinic stresses that individual factors matter. Some people digest dairy easily and enjoy it as part of their diet. Others are lactose intolerant or prefer plant-based options. Both approaches can support bone health when planned appropriately. One important limitation in bone research is that fracture prevention studies require many years of follow-up. Bones change slowly, and it takes decades to see the full impact of dietary patterns. Most studies can't control for all variables over such long periods. The bottom line from current evidence? Milk doesn't weaken bones in healthy adults. Consuming dairy products as part of a balanced diet can help meet calcium needs, which supports bone health. However, dairy isn't absolutely necessary if you're getting adequate calcium, vitamin D, protein, and other bone-supporting nutrients from other sources. Individual tolerance, preferences, and overall dietary patterns matter more than any single food. Now that we understand what the evidence shows, let's talk about practical steps you can take to support your bone health. This isn't about perfection. It's about sustainable choices that work for your life. First, let's discuss physical activity, which is absolutely crucial for bone health. Weight-bearing and resistance exercises are particularly important because they signal your bones to maintain or build density. Weight-bearing exercises include walking, hiking, dancing, tennis, and stair climbing. These activities make your bones work against gravity. Aim for at least 30 minutes of weight-bearing activity most days of the week. If 30 minutes feels like too much right now, start with 10 minutes and gradually increase. Even short walking sessions provide benefit. Resistance training is equally important. This includes lifting weights, using resistance bands, or doing bodyweight exercises like modified push-ups. These exercises stress your bones in ways that encourage them to stay strong. Consider working with a physical therapist or certified trainer experienced with older adults to learn proper form. Start with light resistance and focus on consistency rather than intensity. Balance exercises deserve special mention because preventing falls is critical for avoiding fractures. Tai Chi, yoga, and simple standing balance exercises can improve stability. Practicing standing on one foot while holding a counter for support can make a meaningful difference over time, even though it seems simple. The key with exercise is finding activities you actually enjoy, because that's what you'll stick with long term. Swimming and cycling are wonderful for cardiovascular health and don't stress your bones the same way, so consider combining them with weight-bearing activities for comprehensive benefit. Now let's talk about nutrition for bone health. This type of exercise goes well beyond just calcium. Yes, aim for adequate calcium. The target is 1,000 to 1,200 milligrams daily for adults over 50. If you enjoy dairy products and they agree with you, great. 1 cup of milk or yogurt provides about 300 milligrams. 1.5 ounces of cheese provides about 300 milligrams. If you're lactose intolerant or prefer to avoid dairy, you have plenty of options. Lactose-free milk contains the same calcium as regular milk. Fortified plant-based milks like almond, soy, or oat milk can provide similar calcium amounts. Just check labels as fortification levels vary. Dark leafy greens like collard greens, kale, and bok choy contain calcium, though you need larger portions. Canned fish with bones, like sardines or salmon, provides calcium. Tofu made with calcium sulfate is another excellent source. Vitamin D is equally important because it enables calcium absorption. Your body makes vitamin D when your skin is exposed to sunlight, but many older adults have insufficient levels. Food sources include fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, egg yolks, and fortified foods. Many people need vitamin D supplements, typically 1,000 to 2,000 international units daily, but discuss your individual needs with your doctor. Protein supports both bone and muscle health. Aim for 25 to 30 grams of protein at each meal. Good sources include lean meats, poultry, fish, eggs, dairy, legumes, nuts, and seeds. Don't fall for the myth that protein harms bones. When calcium intake is adequate, protein supports bone health. Vitamin K, found in leafy greens, plays a role in bone metabolism. Magnesium, found in nuts, seeds, whole grains, and legumes, works alongside calcium in bone structure. Potassium, from fruits and vegetables, may help reduce calcium loss through urine. The Mediterranean-style diet naturally supports bone health. It includes plenty of vegetables, fruits, whole grains, legumes, nuts, olive oil, fish, and moderate amounts of dairy. This pattern provides multiple bone-supporting nutrients while being enjoyable and sustainable. Consider your overall eating pattern rather than fixating on individual foods. A varied, nutrient-dense diet beats trying to get everything from one supposedly perfect food. Sleep quality matters for bone health too. During deep sleep, your body does much of its repair and remodeling work. Most adults need 7 to 9 hours of quality sleep. If you are experiencing difficulties with sleep, it would be advisable to discuss these concerns with your doctor. Simple sleep hygiene practices can help. Maintaining consistent sleep and wake times. Keeping your bedroom cool and dark. Avoiding screens before bed. And limiting caffeine in the afternoon. Stress management deserves attention because chronic stress can affect bone health through various pathways, including inflammation and hormone levels. Find stress reduction approaches that fit your life. Such methods might be meditation, gentle yoga, spending time in nature, engaging in hobbies, or connecting with friends and family. Social connection itself is valuable for both mental health and staying physically active. Other lifestyle factors influence bone health significantly. Smoking accelerates bone loss and increases fracture risk. Quitting smoking is one of the best things you can do for your bones and health. Your doctor can help with cessation resources. Excessive alcohol consumption interferes with calcium absorption and bone formation. Moderate consumption, defined as up to 1 drink daily for women and up to 2 for men, is generally considered acceptable, but less is better for bone health. Maintaining a healthy body weight matters. Being significantly underweight increases fracture risk, while very high body weight can increase fall risk. Focus on overall health rather than a specific number on the scale. Staying hydrated supports all body processes. Aim for 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, adjusting for activity level and climate. If you're taking medications, be aware that some can affect bone health. Corticosteroids, certain antidepressants, proton pump inhibitors for acid reflux, and some diabetes medications can impact bone density over time. Don't stop any medications without consulting your doctor. But do discuss bone health monitoring if you're on medications that affect bones long-term. One practical tip: set yourself up for success by making healthy choices easier. Keep calcium-rich foods visible in your refrigerator. Lay out exercise clothes the night before. Find an exercise buddy for accountability and enjoyment. Track your progress in ways that feel motivating rather than burdensome. Remember, small, consistent actions compound over time. You don't need to overhaul everything at once. Pick 1 or 2 areas to focus on, establish those habits, then add more. This approach is far more sustainable than trying to change everything immediately. Everything we've discussed today is educational information designed to empower you. It does not replace special medical advice from your healthcare provider. Your doctor knows your complete health history, current medications, and individual risk factors. This information should help you have more informed conversations with your medical team. Let's talk about specific discussions to have with your doctor regarding bone health. First, ask about bone density testing. The standard test is called a DEXA scan, which measures bone mineral density. The U.S. Preventive Services Task Force recommends bone density screening for all women 65 and older and for younger postmenopausal women with increased fracture risk. Men should discuss testing if they have risk factors like previous fractures, long-term corticosteroid use, or conditions affecting bone health. Discuss your individual fracture risk. Your doctor can use tools like the FRAX calculator, which estimates your 10-year probability of major fractures based on multiple factors, including age, sex, weight, previous fractures, family history, and lifestyle factors. Review your calcium and vitamin D intake with your doctor. Bring a 3-day food diary to your appointment so your doctor can assess whether you're meeting recommended amounts through diet or whether supplementation might be beneficial. Your doctor may order a blood test to check your vitamin D level. Talk about your medications. Ask specifically, do any of my current medications affect bone health? If so, what monitoring do I need? Some medications are necessary despite bone effects, and your doctor can help you weigh benefits against risks and implement protective strategies. Share your exercise routine and get personalized guidance. If you have osteoporosis or significant bone loss, some exercises may need to be modified, while others are strongly encouraged. A physical therapist who specializes in osteoporosis can provide specific exercises tailored to your condition. Discuss your family history. If your mother or father experienced a hip fracture, please be sure to mention it. Family history is a significant risk factor, and your doctor needs this information for accurate risk assessment. Be honest about symptoms. Report if you've lost height, experienced new back pain, or noticed changes in posture. These can be signs of vertebral compression fractures that may not cause dramatic symptoms but indicate bone health concerns. If you're concerned about dairy or considering dietary changes, discuss this issue with your doctor or ask for a referral to a registered dietitian. They can help you plan a diet that meets your calcium and nutritional needs while respecting your preferences or intolerances. Being an effective advocate for your health means preparing for appointments. Please jot down any questions you may have prior to your visit. Please consider taking notes during the appointment, or kindly inquire if recording the conversation is permissible. Bring a family member or friend to help you remember information and feel more comfortable asking questions. Some critical reminders. Never stop taking prescribed medications without consulting your doctor, even if you read something concerning online. If you're taking medications for osteoporosis, discuss benefits, risks, and how long you should continue treatment. These are important medications that significantly reduce fracture risk when used appropriately. This educational content is meant to inform, not prescribe. Your healthcare provider gives personalized guidance based on your unique situation. Build a collaborative relationship where you feel comfortable asking questions and your provider takes time to explain recommendations. Finally, you know when to seek immediate medical attention. If you fall and have severe pain, inability to bear weight, or visible deformity, seek urgent care. Sudden severe back pain can indicate a vertebral fracture and warrants prompt evaluation. Let's recap what we've covered today about milk and bone health. First, the overall body of scientific evidence does not support the claim that milk weakens bones. While some observational studies showed associations between high dairy consumption and fracture rates in specific populations, these studies show correlation, not causation, and haven't been consistently replicated. Second, bone health depends on multiple factors working together: adequate calcium from any source, sufficient vitamin D, regular weight-bearing and resistance exercise, an overall healthy lifestyle, and individual factors like genetics and medications. Third, dairy products can be one effective way to meet calcium needs, but they're not required. Whether you choose dairy, fortified plant-based alternatives, or other calcium-rich foods, what matters is meeting your nutritional needs through a balanced, enjoyable eating pattern. Finally, partner with your healthcare provider. Get the appropriate screening, discuss your individual fracture risks, and create a personalized plan for maintaining strong bones as you age. Understanding the science empowers you to make informed decisions. You're taking important steps by seeking verified information and thinking critically about health claims. Small, consistent actions in exercise, nutrition, and lifestyle choices compound into significant benefits over time. If you found this information helpful, please give this video a like and subscribe to VeriHealthHub. Hit the notification bell so you never miss our evidence-based health content. Our commitment is to deliver trustworthy, verified information to you. What health topics would you like us to explore next? Leave your suggestions in the comments. We love hearing from our community and creating content that addresses your real questions and concerns. In our next video, we'll be exploring the truth about inflammation and aging, separating evidence-based strategies from popular myths about anti-inflammatory diets. Thank you for watching VeriHealthHub. Remember, your health is a partnership between knowledge and medical guidance. Stay informed, stay empowered, and keep prioritizing your wellness.